What's up, everybody? Welcome to the inaugural episode of Ask Kinda Funny Anything. Probably need some explanation here. The idea is that over on patreon.com/kindafunny and Kinda Funny Games, but I'm only worried about Kinda Funny right now. We used to do this tier for $15 that you could come do a live Q&A with us. Maybe it was 20, I forget, doesn't matter. You do a live Q&A with us, and we had a great community of kids who came every month to do this monthly Q&A with us live on YouTube. But the problem was only like at a time, 16 people, maybe 12 were coming out because of time zones, the desire to talk to us. So we saw the same people over and over again. We talked to the same people over and over again, and nobody really knew that was happening. So what we did for 2017, we've talked about it already. Our focus is on community. We hired Joey Noel. We want to make sure that everyone understands that we love every one of our community branches as much as we love the other community branches. And so doing that, we thought what we would do is rebrand that as Ask Kinda Funny Anything, this video you're watching. So the idea is that the first of every month over on patreon.com/kindafunny and Kinda Funny Games, but that's a separate video that Colin's doing this month. A post goes up for our supporters at $15 and above where they can ask us anything. We tell you who's going to be on the episode of Ask Kinda Funny Anything. Right now it's me. Over on Games it's Colin. Maybe in the future it'll be multiple people. Who knows? We put that up. You put your questions there as comments, and then on the last Saturday of every month, we put this video up on YouTube, on whatever YouTube channel it may be. So Kinda Funny Games goes to Games, Kinda Funny goes to Kinda Funny. Everybody has fun. That way, not only are we answering the questions from the kids on Patreons, the most dedicated of the dedicateds, we're showing it on YouTube so that those people get to see that there's this community over there they should be a part of. Not for the money aspect of it, but for the fact that people understand all these names and people who are working real hard to be a cool part of the community over there. We want the community to be more unified in 2017. We think that's what's happening here. I mean, what's happening right here is I have an itchy ankle. Also worth pointing out, I'm the only person in the office today. Colin came in to do the morning show. I set it up, and then nobody, Kevin's sick, Tim's sick, Nick's at the dentist. So I set all this up by myself. So if it explodes at some point or it's out of focus or something like that, you just got to cut me some fucking slack because I got this thank you videos and then I'm doing a one-on-one for Kinda Funny Games Patreon exclusive. So there's a lot going on. Now, inaugural, like I said, Ask Kinda Funny Anything. We're going to jump into the thing here. I believe it said we have 38 comments here on the first ever edition of Ask Kinda Funny Anything. I have not read ahead. I do not know what any of you asked me. So these will be live off the cuff answers. I just ate some fried chicken before this. It was good. First question comes from Jose Gomez. Jose Gomez says, other than setting up Kinda Funny and anything IGN related, what's your biggest accomplishment in life? Something that you can always look back and say, at least I done that. Ooh, fuck, I don't know, man. That's a tough one. Because if I can't use Kinda Funny and I can't use IGN, you start immediately limiting what the fuck I've done. Because if I can't, I mean, I built Kinda Funny. That's awesome. And I built it with people. I'm not saying that I built it. I did Beyond over at IGN, but I'm thinking even like, oh man, I met Chris Jericho. Well, I did that through IGN. That doesn't. So what's my biggest accomplishment in life outside of Kinda Funny or IGN? Back in college, I got all the dog tags in Metal Gear Solid 2. Loved Metal Gear Solid 2 on the PS2. I platinumed that game without it having a platinum. So I guess that would be pretty up there. Portillo. You know what I mean? I own a wiener dog named Portillo. Damn it. You see him right there? Wiener dog named Portillo. I love him very, very much. He's the light of my life. Biggest accomplishment. I got Jen to love me. We're super in love. She's the love of my life. That's cool. That's a pretty big accomplishment, I guess. But that sounds weird because she's a person. Finding someone, I guess, is an accomplishment. Oh, dumb. Halloween back in college. I won a trip to Vegas by in a costume contest that it was done by Cheers in this bar. People cheering. And we got there. I originally wasn't going to do it. And then my friends were all like, you got a great Ghostbusters costume. You could kick the shit out of just about anybody here. You should go get it. So I drove home at halftime. We were watching a Sunday night game. Drove home at halftime, got it, drove back to the bar. Wasn't driving. Don't worry about it. Got there and threw on the Ghostbusters uniform. It came down to a applause tie where I had the antlers with me, so they're super loud, so they were able to make it seem like they were bigger than they were. And then the other guy was like a bar fly that came in all the time people loved. And this guy was dressed as Shrek. And if I'm lying, I'm dying. This motherfucker was Shrek. He was huge. He was giant. He was big, and he was painted green. He had the things on. He did not seem like a friendly character. And so, like, I think he was a little pissed off that it came down to, they were like, all right, you guys have tied, but only one of you can win. And I think he took that kind of rough. And they're like, what we're going to have you do is who can chug this pitcher of beer faster. And they handed me the pitcher of beer, and they handed him a pitcher of beer. And I was like, fuck, this is a lot of beer. I didn't say it out loud. Fuck, this is a lot of beer. And the Shrek next to me, who's huge, and I had a huge friend named Travis. I was like, Travis could drink this no problem. And I'm assuming this guy drinks like Travis. And so we get the pitchers put in front of us. I'm like, fuck. I was in my Proton pack and my Ghostbusters outfit, not my awesome Proton pack that I have now, and not even the less awesome Proton pack I had. I was in the Kenner plastic one still that I had from being a childhood. And when it was about to start, I took it off and put it on the table in front of me. And this is one of those moments where God tried to intervene in the form of my ex-wife, but girlfriend at the time. She walked over and she's like, do you want me to hold on to that for you? And I'm like, no. When I win, I want to put the Proton pack back on. And so I put it down, got my pitcher. He got his pitcher, and he looks at me and he goes, this is a lot of beer. And I was like, oh, fuck, I got this guy. I drink professionally in college. I got this guy. So we go, and I go, chug, and I'm going. I'm not really paying attention to him. He's going, and I see him bring it down, and then I see him projectile vomit all over my Proton pack in the table, which I immediately grabbed, ran into the bathroom, washed it off, but I won, and I won the trip to Vegas. I was, however, does this story check out? I think this story checks out on how lax drinking laws were back then in college. I was underage, so I couldn't go to Vegas and gamble, so I never even actually took it up, and I was also broke. I was a college kid. What am I going to do? But that's funny. I never thought about that I was underage and I won that thing. That's my biggest accomplishment, out drinking an ogre. Next question comes from the assassin AK-47. Name a time where you guys proved someone wrong. That's a weird question, I guess. I hate this shit. This is what I hate about the fucking internet, is the fact that literally on any of the podcasts or the shows or Twitter or whatever, I will literally be like, hey, I like Portillo's. And some guy's like, what about this? It's a better hot dog place than this. I like this pizza place. What about this pizza? I like this game. That game sucks. And it's like, why can't we just accept that that's my opinion and that's your opinion and that's what it is? You know what I mean? Like, why do we have to make it always so confrontational? That drives me fucking crazy. That makes me exhausted and not even want to participate in social media or comments and shit like that, because you just can't win. It's quicksand. No matter what you say or do, someone's I think a lot of people are trying to have that conversation with you. And like, oh, hey, I don't like that because I like this. And like, they think it's going to go further, but it comes off so much as like, hey, here's my opinion. Fuck you. I don't care what your opinion is. I'm like, I'm exhausted. I can't do this. So I don't want to focus on when I prove something wrong. The assassin, AK-47. But I do like your Batman shirt. Remember, I'm pulling these from patreon.com/kindafunny. Jason says, tell us a story of a time a comic book helped you in life. I feel, though, I go back to a quote often, only the weak succumb to brutality. And that's from Kingdom Come. And that's that thing where, Superman going through and he's trying to bring back the old school ways of being a superhero to the new school of what's happening in Kingdom Come. But for some reason, that quote really stuck with me and resonates with me in a way of like trying not to fight, trying not to engage. Like, I don't want to get down, like I was just talking about with the internet and comments and shit like that, get down into the muck and fucking flood and throw mud and be a piece of shit because somebody else is being shitty to me. Just because you're shitty to me, I don't want to be shitty to you. And whether that is physical violence or whether it is, I'm going to blow you up. And granted, you see it all the time. I'm not saying I'm perfect. I blow people up all the time on Twitter. I get into a scrap here and there and a comment thread or something. You try to be the bigger person, but there are, like today, I'm worn the fuck out. You know what I mean? I woke up to a message that Kevin was sick. And don't get me wrong, I'm not blaming Kevin for this. Kevin's sick, so I'm like, I'll run the show. It turned out Tim was sick, so I ran the show while doing the show with Colin from over here. And then there was a problem on Patreon. I had a bunch of comments about this person who was upset, so I wanted to get in there and talk to him. Like, my day immediately exploded, let alone the fact that then I scarfed down lunch and I'm doing these videos and this videos. This isn't me belly aching about how great my life is and I get to make content. I'm trying to say that I'm worn out. So right now I'm super sensitive. So like when Colin makes a joke at me, it hurts harder and I want to fucking yell, but I know he's not doing it to be a dick. He's just Colin. You know what I mean? Patrick Cannon, right? Or maybe Cannon, Cannan. Greg, what's your favorite meal you've made since you started cooking with Greggy? This is my hashtag over on Instagram. Great question. Of course, my wings are my favorite, but the one I made where I was like, motherfucker, I'm on another level, was when I cooked for Jen, Colin, and Aaron. And it's a Rachel Ray chicken thigh dish that I bought that new cast iron skillet for, that huge fucking cast iron skillet. I made Spanish chicken thighs and chorizo with Ashley Birch's Moroccan carrots, and then gangster. Jen made whole wheat bread. You can go to this one. It's listed as that on my thing at Rachel Ray's Mags Spanish chicken. This is on my Instagram. That chicken tasted like it was out of a restaurant. Everything went perfectly. It was a new recipe I'd never done before. It was a new pan I never used before. So you're like, I'm ready for something to go wrong. And everything went flawlessly. It tasted fantastic. You mopped. It could have been sold in a restaurant. Everything was perfect for that meal, and I'm a big fan of it. Thomas Layfield says, Greg, what do you think about Mizzou being an SEC school now? Is it different compared to the time they spent in the Big 12 when you were in school? Does it change your expectations for football, basketball? As a fan and alum of a fellow SEC school, go Dogs, Georgie's talking about, I'm curious to know your perspective on if this changes anything about your outlook or fandom. Interesting question, Thomas. I think if I was at Mizzou or in Columbia still, if I still lived in Columbia, because I'd love to move back to Columbia one day and live there. If I were there, it would mean more, if that makes sense. Because I think it's awesome they went to SEC. SEC, such a great conference for college sports in general. Such a respected conference. I always felt like Big 12 was kind of looked at like, whatever, this Midwest thing. SEC, ACC, this is where real sports are played. So I love that they're there. I love that they had done so well in football. Obviously, we had a rough year this past year, and it's going to be a few more, I'm sure. Basketball has always been wonky. The thing about it is, I do feel... not that it's taken away from my experience or my history with Mizzou and the Antlers and everything else. I do feel more disconnected, if that makes sense. Because you figure I went there when there was such a rivalry, whether you're talking about Kansas State, Iowa State, sorry. These schools that I saw them play year after year and had memories about and remembered, like Larry Eustace and shit like that. Like weird ass crap, right? And now that they've jumped conferences and they have these new teams, the rivalries are still being built, right? Like we're doing the whole Arkansas thing because it has Kansas in it. But it's still like, it's not like it was. It's not like where there are decades of bad blood between these teams. Kansas fucking sucks, right? I still see people in Kansas shirts walking around, and I go to yell at them, and then I realize I'm not in a Mizzou shirt, and also, what does it matter? Like, you know what I mean? It's just like one of those things of like, but that's like how when you're at Mizzou, you're brought up like Kansas is the worst thing, and that's all in good fun. Don't get me wrong, but it's that's all gone now, and so it is that thing of like, I'm not trying to say like I've been burned or my history's been torn away from me or something weird like that. It's just that I don't have that personal history anymore like I would if it still was that, all right, here we go. They're playing Colorado again this. And I'm like, oh man, do you remember when this happened, that happened, da, da, da. Or, Baylor, when Baylor would roll into town, you're like, who'd you murder this time? Tyler Drummond says, if you weren't in games media / kind of funny, what career would you pursue? Sorry. Great question, Tyler. I'm drinking some water. I have a degree in journalism, magazine journalism. Before I came to work at IGN, I was working at a daily newspaper as a general assignment reporter. I've talked about it a million times. I'd probably still be doing that. I did love it. And I think that was always the plan in my head, that if something cataclysmically went wrong and I wasn't able to go work for EGM, IGN, GameSpot, whoever, that I would just keep writing and being a newspaper person because I love telling stories. Now, all that said, I don't think I could ever go back to it now, right? Like that's my personality is way too out there anymore. You can't be a reporter and be behind the scenes and be in part. Like everyone, there's hundreds of thousands of hours of my opinions on everything. I don't think I could go back and do it. But if the IGN thing had never happened a decade ago, literally the 31st it will be 10 years since Dunham emailed me about my interview, January 31st. Then I would have to say that I'd still be doing that and be happy, but probably be longing because obviously this is what I was meant to do. Jared Howard says, have you seen or did you like the Disney Family Fun film Sky High, which is based off superheroes, which you like in video games like Infamous and Gravity Rush? I did see Sky High. Kurt Russell, I remember it very well. Correct me if I'm wrong, isn't Daniela, what her name from Flash, wasn't she in that too? Hold on, IMDb. Because I liked Sky High. It was a fun movie. God damn it. I hate it when you go to click on it and then the ad pops up and then all of a sudden I'm watching a XXX ad. Yeah, so here we go. Somebody was in this. Yeah, it was her. All right, great. Yeah, I didn't make that up. Yeah, Daniela Panabaker was Layla. I remember her, and that's when I remember Flash. I like Sky High a lot. I mean, not a lot. I mean, it was fun. I enjoyed it. I have never gone back to watch it, nor have I ever felt the need to go back and watch it again. Brett Harrison says, if you were a detective, who would you want as a partner? Remember, don't pick Kevin. You know how he is with dead bodies. Crying emoji, crying emoji, crying emoji. I assume you mean from Kind of Funny, and I can only think about it in terms of a buddy cop show. So I think Kevin would be pretty good, but maybe he could just be our office assistant, and then I'd want Nick Scarpino, because Nick would smoke the pipe, and he would have a little Sherlock hat, and he would be really dumb, and he'd fuck up crime scenes, and we'd have a good time. Tyson Williams says, although you have come to terms with the Snyderverse, what would the ideal lineup of movies, cast for the characters, and tone in your mind for the DC cinematic universe? Whew, big question. And again, I don't think we're super far off track. I think they're going to turn this cinematic universe around because it's just going to be Marvel again. If it's Marvel again, you know what I mean? I've said before, though, to answer your question as succinctly as possible, I think what I would always want to do, I would say if I win the lottery tomorrow, and I'm a billionaire, just money to fucking blow on whatever the hell I want to. What I would do is I would hire like a real director, and I would hire, and you know that I'm not on the directing thing. You didn't ask about that. I'd hire a real director that I trust, though, to make the trailer for Kingdom Come. And what I would do is cast John Hamm as Superman, and then have it all from his perspective, you know, him picking up the thing, being all the tractor and his hair pulled back, then him in the awesome, you know, darker suit, him going and fucking with all the new guys and all this cool shit and stuff. And then it would be the whole Kingdom Come trailer, and then the stinger on the end, you know, after it shows like the date or whatever, would be that scene of Superman in the Batcave talking to Bruce for the first time in forever, right? But it's like, it's a wide shot of clearly the Bat computer, somebody in the chair, Superman walking up behind him, and him saying, you know, paraphrasing, obviously I don't have it open for me, but basically being like, you know, I don't have that dark side, Bruce, because this is a similar line from the comic. And then it's this close up, medium wide, I guess is what Nick would probably call it, of Bruce turning around in the chair with all the rickety shit on him, you know, holding him together. And it's Michael Keaton. And he just turns around and he goes, tell that to your tailor. And that's where we cut. And it'd be like, fuck yes. Like that. That's all I want. I don't want to make the movie. I mean, I'd love a Kingdom Come movie if somebody really did it right. But like, imagine if you had unlimited money and you're like, I'm hiring this director, I'm hiring John Hamm, I'm hiring Michael Keaton, I'm getting all these other people to play all the different parts, and we're bringing everybody together and we're doing it like that. Fuck yeah, that would be amazing. Giovanni Cruz says, what is a quality that you love from Jen? Oh, I mean, Jesus Christ. Where to start and stop on that one. I think what I always go back to with Jen, and why I know she's different and why I know I'll be with her the rest of my life, is the fact that she makes me smile. And I know that sounds weird, but when we first started dating and we'd be FaceTiming across the continent or whatever, I would take screen caps every so often because she's so beautiful, obviously. And I told her I was doing this. It wasn't like creepy stuff. But what I noticed all the time when I'd go back and look at the shots were the fact that I was smiling in the little picture-in-picture thing, right? And she was smiling and laughing usually or whatever, and I'm down there grinning like an idiot. And what was weird about that for me is the fact that we always talk about, right, like the Greg and Colin and Nick and Tim you see on camera, they are us, but we're amped up, right? And so what I always go back to is when I first started Up at Noon, people would watch the show and think I was mad or that I was having a bad day or whatever. They'd read into my body language, because when I'd be doing the interviews, I'd be listening to somebody and I'd be listening like this. Not even nodding my head, maybe just staring at them, right? And people read that as, and it took me a while to realize that even though I'm not actively doing anything in that point in the interview, I need to be smiling, because if you're not, the camera reads different than what real life is. In real life, think about it. Next time you're just talking to your wife, your girlfriend, your boyfriend, whatever. The next time you're talking to anybody and listening to them intently, what your face actually looks like. Resting bitch face, right? I have it. And so when you see me smile on camera usually and I'm interviewing somebody nodding, now I don't think about it. But in those original Up at Noon days, for sure it was like, oh, smile. You need to smile right now. All right, cool. Keep listening, because I do active interviews where I talk and go back and forth. But it was that extra thing where now it's second nature, and it carries over to my personal life too, because I do want the people I'm talking to think that I'm engaged and I'm happy or whatever. But what I was noticing with the screen caps with Jen was that I was smiling without ever thinking about it, it wasn't a smile that was I'm listening to you. Yeah, what's happening? All right, cool. Let's have the cool camera interview. It was me being a normal human being smiling on my own and not thinking about it. I was like, fuck, that's crazy. Sean Bissonette says, before the Kind of Funny panel at PAX East, I accidentally walked into you while you guys were on your way in. You grabbed my nips and hugged me, commenting on my aerobics t-shirt. I was so shocked. I couldn't find any words, smiled and mumbled thanks. You have met a lot of famous people and heroes of yours. Name a time name a time you had no idea what to say when you met with one of these people. P.S. I met Nick in a bathroom later that weekend. The meeting went slightly better. I'm sure it did. The one I always go back to is when I first met Dan Shu. Dan Shu, of course, he's Shu. He was EGM. For a lot of people who are like, oh, I grew up reading you, that's how it was for Shu. Every time I got an EGM, I'd crack it open, go to the review crew, see Shu and Crispin and all them there. And then when Shu, took over, whatever, he was editor-in-chief, but I'm not sure if that officially the title was. Read the letter to the editor in the beginning, you know what I mean? Like, I idolized Shu, and I wrote to him early on. Like, I always talk about the fact that, like, I emailed him before it was easy to find people's email addresses on the internet. I just somehow cracked it or whatever and figured it out. And so I asked him like what I should study in college and what kind of computer I should get and stupid shit like that. Really annoying crap now that I'm on the other side where I'm so busy and it's just like somebody like, oh, journalism and he was like, journalism and if you can, minor in Japanese. I was like, all right, cool. Went to college for journalism to go write for EGM, and I was like, man, Japanese is really hard. I'm not gonna do that. Anyways, though, get hired at IGN in 2007. And in March 1st, 2007 was my first day at work. And then you jump all the way to December 2007. And I went to the Natsume Christmas party with Craig Harris and a few other IGN editors. And we were there. And I'm blanking on it. I need pictures. Hold on one second. I want to say, no, my head is trying to say Sean Baby. That's not right. But I'm talking about Sean now at place. No, that's not right. Fuck. It's not important to the story. But I feel like a doof for fucking this up. Oh, no. Jesus Christ. One of Shu's coworkers. This is going to drive me crazy. I got to find. Hold on. Greg Miller and G4. I did the Greg Miller. G4. Here it is. Me talking on this. Who am I talking to with? Shane. Why was I called Shane Bettenhouse? Oh, God. I know Shane. I've been doing videos with Shane. Whatever. Doesn't matter. Brain fart. Shane walked in. Shane and I had just done my first G4 appearance thing where we went to the satellite offices in San Francisco, recorded a little segment, and bounced. And so I knew him a little bit from that. I'd met him and talked to him there. And so at the Natsume party, Shane walked in. He walked in with Shu. And I was a few drinks in. Not wasted, but drunk. Not, you know what I mean? I was at the tipping point. Not like embarrassing myself, but where like I had the liquid courage. So when I saw them walk in, I was like, this is my chance. I'm going to talk to Shu. This is my first time actually having a chance to talk to this man who led me to this point. And I walked over there, and Shane was like, oh, hey, Greg. And I'm like, hey, Shane. And then he's like, do you know Dan? And I was like, not really. And Dan's like, hey, I'm Dan Shu. And I grabbed his hand, and I'm like, I know who you are. You're Dan Shu, and you changed my life, and you don't know, but everything that's led to this point is because of you. And I used to email you. I didn't know how to find your email address, but I found your email address. But I wanted to know about it. Should I go to college? You said maybe get Japanese, but I was like, and Shu was literally like, okay, good to me. All right. Oh, I got to talk to him. And then he laughed. And it was one of those points. It went on way longer than that. But in my head, I was like, stop talking. Why are you talking this much? Oh my God, stop doing this. Stop. And I just couldn't do it. I was just so blown away to finally meet this man that had done so much for me without ever knowing he had done so much for me. And then years later, didn't see Shu for a long time. Because again, there's different, not stratas, but like I'm out covering preview events as a grunt at IGN. Shu is assigning people to go do that based on where you are in the industry. Years later, at Sid Schumann's birthday party, before he went to work for PlayStation, ran into Dan again, and I was much cooler. We hung out, we talked for a long time, and then finally I was like, do you remember this? Because this is like, oh my God, no, blah, blah, blah. And so now we're friends. Ronnie Cotter says, oh wow, that's going to be a long video if you're letting people ask questions for a whole month, lol. Yo, fuck you, Ronnie Cotter. Fuck you. No, I'm kidding. Thanks for your support on Patreon. Yeah, I don't know. Is this obviously these videos are work in progress? I think I'm going to go through and answer everyone's questions. It's the inaugural one. For future reference, as more people start coming in, maybe we won't be able to do that. Maybe we put time limits on them. I originally thought about trying to cap this at 10 minutes, right? So I could put it up on Twitter as well, but fucking YOLO. Adam Stevens says, kind of funny. In all respects, has been an overwhelmingly positive force in my life, getting me through the hardest part of my life, pushing me to be healthier, to get out into the world and make it a better place. I know this is true for many in the community. So my question is, does knowing that you affect so many lives every day become overwhelming, and how do you deal with it if it does? No, it doesn't become overwhelming, because honestly, it goes the opposite way, and this is what I always talk about with the vocal minority versus the silent majority. The folks that love us and we shape your lives and get to be a part of them, make your day better. You guys enjoy the content, fucking love it, and you bounce out. You go. You don't leave a comment. You don't tweet us. And some of you do. I'm not saying, this isn't me guilting you. The ones that talk shit are the ones who talk all the time. So honestly, it's more that I'm like, I want to fucking beat my head in with this brick than look at my Twitter right now because everyone's mad about one dumb thing I said. Why are we hung up on that? Why is everybody busting my balls about this stupid thing? All right, I'm driving the fucking show all by myself today, while hosting the show with Colin, who just, again, this isn't me knocking Colin, trying to give you an insight into what's happening. I assembled all the stories, I set up everything, I moved the walls, I did Kevin's job and my job as like lead host. Colin was just here to co-host and talk. He came in, did it, and show ran. Everything was great. And I put up the standby graphic that I thought was the leave standby graphic, and it's the one that says "will begin momentarily." And there's all these fucking comments in Twitch that people aren't being mean about. It's like, oh, nice, why does it say standby? Will begin momentarily. And it's just like, that's the feedback you're gonna give me after running this whole thing behind. It's like, fuck it, fine. And I gotta shut down. And I guess you're like, how do I deal with it? How do you deal with it? Is that I have to step back and remember that there's all of you. This majority of people who loves everything we do and might have made one of those comments and didn't mean it as an attack. I'm just, again, like I told you early, or stressed out, running on a short string and a short fuse here. And it's like, okay, breathe, Greg. And now that I've said that, what I'm going to do is let the video continue to run, and I'm going to go make sure it's still recording. Because again, I'm the only person in the office. So if this would be the real end capper to the fucking day if this gets lost. So hold on. I'm just going over here. Still here, everybody. I want to check on it. It's still recording. Are we recording? We are still recording. Everything's okay. Really should have set a timer on this. I feel like I'm going long, but I want to get through this. My interview comes in at 3. It's 1:45 right now. Colin Huguenot will say, if you could move Kinda Funny to any other city in the U.S., where would it be and why? I love Columbia, Missouri. I'd love to move back to Columbia, Missouri. If Columbia, Missouri had an international airport, ladies and gentlemen, it would be Austin too. That's what is holding it back. Everything you love about Austin, you could say about Columbia, Missouri. It's smaller, but Austin was small until everybody realized it was cool and started moving there and doing different things. If it was possible to have an international airport, I would try to move it to Columbia just because it would be cheaper. It'd be fun. Great food. So many of my family and friends are right around there. It would be great for me, but that's me being selfish. But you asked the question to me. Mike Pedro said, I'm going to say Pedro. Hey, Greg, since you consider yourself to be a chicken wing connoisseur, I need to know, what is your opinion on the best chicken wing you've ever had? As someone that lives in Rochester, New York, a city that's only an hour away from the birthplace of the Buffalo Wing, Anchor Bar and Grill, I know it well. I know it through internet and stuff. I can't help but think that the quality of chicken wing available in the SF area doesn't even compare what's available here in New York. I hear you, Mike. And that's the thing. I want to do a video some point or something where I get to travel the world and eat chicken wings, and usually really the country. But there's a million different ways to do the chicken wing and buffalo wing and all that stuff. My favorite chicken wing of all time, it's I did swallow right there because I'm salivating. I say CJ's in Columbia, Missouri, but again, it's one of the places that I love from college, and now it's owned by 2 of my best friends. So, of course, I think that place is awesome. Here in San Francisco, is pretty good for chicken wings. Now, again, are they what you're thinking? And what do you define, right? Flash fried wing, I'm assuming, smaller, so that there's not smaller wings where like they're more. You got to gnaw on them a bit to get the meat off. That's what I've always been told is what it's more like if I was going to go to Anchor, which I will get to one day before I die. But in San Francisco, Wings is great. I think the wings over at the Richmond Republic Draft House. I always say draft to fuck with Colin, but when he's not here, I just break my brain. I think they got a good set of chicken wings on them. Chicken wings are great any way you slice them. So it's one of those things. I don't know. Of course, you're from New York, so you got this fucking chip on your shoulder about everything out there. Everything's the best. Of course, you all move away from it. I don't know why, if it's so great you left it, but whatever. Yeah. I think you should travel and try some of the other ones and then let me know, because you would know better to what you're comparing it to. The Macho Man, Tommy Savage, which is a fucking awesome name, says best Superman villain and why. Well, of course, you got to go Lex Luthor. I love somebody who can challenge the brawn of Superman with his brain. You know what I mean? That's a great one. Brainiac I like a lot too. His stuff's really good. Parasite's always an interesting one. A lot of ones I'd love to see them explore in the movies, right? Like here, we're going to do Steppenwolf now. It's like, what the fuck? Brainiac would have been a more fun one. Why do you need to chase exactly? We don't want to do what Marvel's doing in the cinematic universe, but we're going to do exactly what Marvel's doing. Okay, great. That's one way to do it. Tyler Dane says, if you could only drink one kind of beer and liquor for the rest of your life, what would you choose? I would choose Racer 5 IPA. Sorry. I guess technically I'd probably pick Pliny the Elder, but it's so hard to come by. It's not easy. Racer 5 is easy. So I'm going to say Racer 5. I like that I can get it anywhere, and it's great. Liquor, bourbon, but like that's Colin's gig. You know what I mean? I like a good old fashioned and stuff like that. Don't get me wrong, but I'm not like, it's super rare that I go home and I'm like, you know what I want? Just a bourbon. Give me bourbon neat. Give me bourbon rock, something like that. But I go home all the time. Like, give me a beer and then let's fucking wrestle, Portillo. Griffin Fennel says, what is the best piece of advice you have for someone wanting to get into the gaming industry? There is a video up, an old Greg way, called Greg Miller. You just search Greg Miller video game journalism. But the answer is simple. Do it every day. Do everything you see us do. You need to get practice. You need to get good. You need to be able to walk into IGN, and when they say, oh, your writing sample is great, let's put you on camera, be just as good there as you are at that. And the only way to do any of that is practice. I always talk about it. It sounds stupid, but all of this on-camera work, podcasting, writing, it's all a muscle, and you need to train it. You need to flex it. You need to actually work it out. And so if you just try to come cold out of the blocks, you're going to get fucked. I was talking about Shu earlier in EGM, right? Like, I'll never forget. I'm like, I want to work for EGM. I want to work for EGM. I want to work for EGM. And when I was still in high school, they were like, hey, we want to do this review crew position, and we're going to have it be an open thing. So send in your reviews. And I wrote 2 reviews and I sent them in, and they were my first reviews I ever wrote. So they were fucking complete trash, but it never dawned on me that what I should be doing is honing and practicing this craft. So when that opportunity came, I had worked out the kinks, and I knew how to write a review. Arguable, I know, for some people on the internet, that if I can write reviews around, but what I should have been doing is reviewing every game I played and then just filing them away, right? It's similar like when you write a screenplay. So I'm told, you're going to write 4 or 5 screenplays before you get to something that's anywhere decent. So that you got to get out there, work out the kinks, and goo. Aviram Atler. Aviram Alter. In your opinion, what is the biggest mistake you ever made at Kinda Funny, and what did you learn from it? I think it's a mistake we fall into the trap of all the time. It's Kinda Funny where we don't talk to each other. It's hard. You know what I mean? Like, look at today. Today's Thursday, January 19th. By the way, I think we'll try to do these later, so there's more in the months for going forward, so there's more time to get questions in, but I'm going to Australia, so my schedule's all fucked up. We don't talk to each other enough, and so what happens is inevitably we change something and don't tell somebody else, which fucks up that thing, and then that person gets mad about it, and then they, rather than express that, they sit on it, and then we all bubble up, and then eventually we boil over and we scream about something stupid that wasn't stupid, but why are we so mad, and blah, blah. And then it's always a conversation of let's be better about talking about it, but it's still hard to do that. And it's hard to have conversations because it is this weird mix of we are friends and acquaintances and brothers and family and partners and coworkers and bosses, and it's like, we have so many, these relationships are all so intertwined, and there's just the 5 of us. So it's like really like, yeah, it's the same thing I'm talking about. Like, oh man, I'm doing all this today, right? No one's going to say thank you or think of like, oh man, Greg did a lot of shit today, right? Because that's what's on the calendar. That's what's expected of me. That's how it works. It's the same way that Kevin does that every day and flips these walls every day and sets those cameras and edits the videos and breaks down the garbage and gets the maid scheduled and, does a million things. Colin goes and edits these. Colin was right all the time, puts them up. They do huge numbers. Everybody loves him, blah, blah, blah. He's also really knowledgeable. We all do so much that I think I talked about this. I think I talked about it on the stream, maybe on our anniversary. I'm not sure. But for us, and sounds, I'm sure, douchey. For us, we are extraordinary every single fucking day. We bust our fucking backs to make this thing go and be awesome and be way bigger than it should be 2 years in, right? But the problem with that is that when you are running at 110%, when you are being extraordinary every day, when you are all killing it on all fronts, you stop talking about that. We never take time to celebrate what we do. You know what I mean? Other than, hey, that was a good episode. Oh, cool. Blah, blah. Like, no one sits here and thanks Kevin for making sure the graphics were right when they are right. You know what I mean? Like, it's that weird thing. So, like, we still every day need to be better about that and be better at communicating with each other. But when there's 5 of us and we're doing the work of, I would say, 10 people, it's really, really tough. Craig Robertson says, what's your biggest motivation to get up every morning besides Porty needing the toilet? Great question. I have fun doing what I do. I love doing this. I love what I'm doing right now. And that's the whole thing. If it's long, it's long. I'm more worried about, I got to get thank you videos in after this before my interview gets here for the Gamescast. But this is awesome. Like, yeah, the day I'm writing this, the day I'm filming this is the day on Patreon, the post from empty, went up where he was like, hey, I thought it was a bit douchey, the response to the Resident Evil VCR tape you did as the morning show. And he put in there, he's like, you know, it almost seems like and he was a little bit more abrasive, I think, that you've lost sight of this and you're no longer humble and da-da-da. It's like, I know every fucking day how blessed I am to do this. Like, you know what I mean? Again, there is that thing of, this is extraordinary. To walk in here and see this fucking video wall, to see 3 cameras, to see a neon sign, to see what we've built, it's extraordinary. So it does do that thing where I don't come in every day and go, wow, I can't fucking believe we're here. But Gio Corsi came over for dinner with Colin and I and Jen the other night, and he had never seen the old studio. And so I walked him in there, and it was the first time since we left where I was like, all right, yeah, and the table used to be here, and Kevin used to be right there. Fuck. And you forget, like, this is life now, and that was life for a year, more than a year of doing crazy shit in there and like that. So the biggest motivation to get up is that I love my life. I love all of this. I love getting to talk to you. I love the fact that we've built a community and a product that this is what it is. You know what I mean? Like, that's where it gets weird when the comments are like, oh man, PS I Love You XO sucks. They're talking about poop and they didn't beat any of the games they're talking about this week. It's like, yeah, go away if you don't like that. And I don't mean it in like a dick way, like, oh, fuck you, your opinion doesn't matter if you're giving like quality, constructive criticism. But there does come a point in the scene where it's like, well, yeah, this is who we are. This is, you know what I mean? Like when Resident Evil came out, we beat the fuck out of that to do the review discussion for it. I did. I'm saying that before we do it. I'm beating the fuck out of it. Colin's running on a crazy schedule. Tim's sick as hell right now. So I don't know. But what I'm saying is, we have a life that is so blessed that I can see what I'm passionate about and make that what I want to do. So when I play Gravity Rush or I play Yakuza, and I'm like, that's fun, but it's not what I want to do right now. There's no gun to my head like there was at IGN. Not that IGN's wrong for doing that. My job was to review those games. I had a deadline. That's how it went. But for here it is, yeah, I didn't do that. So let's talk about the Logan trailer. That looks rad. I fucking watched this old ass movie last night, a documentary. Let's talk about that. Like, we can do whatever we want. So I'm 1000% aware of how blessed and awesome this life is. And I love the fact that we have the relationship with you where you want to be a part of that and you want to communicate with us that way and you want to hear everything that's going on with us, but no matter how dumb it is. Wow. Now I'm going to fuck this one up and I'm sorry. Diogo de Silva Gosh. Hey, Greg. Finally made the jump and got on Patreon to support you guys. I am from Brazil, and even though I know you guys travel a lot, it seems it mostly is to the northern hemisphere. What are some exotic places you'd like to travel to? Well, as you know, I'm dumb and very American. So, I'm excited to go to Australia here in a little bit. I'd like to go to Hawaii, but that's not even that crazy. I want to go back to Japan. None of this is answering your question though. Like there's so much work to do here and so many things to do that I rarely ever think about. Let's go to South America. Let's go to Colombia. Let's go to Africa. Nah, that ain't in the cards for me. Maybe one day when there's time to think, but no time soon. Keith A. Lewis says, and this is a long one. Imagine you're stuck on an island, but you're allowed to access any and all video games, books, movies, TV show, comics, whatever, from one and only one character franchise. You'll be allowed to access anything they've previously done, are currently doing, or will do in the future. Jesus Christ, Keith. Make it a little more complicated. Can you toss some math in here too? But only if it pertains to that specific franchise. And to clarify, for the sake of comic book characters, Jesus fucking Christ. Because I'm sure you're considering that. I'll make it character specific. So the Superman franchise, the Batman franchise, the Spider-Man franchise, and so on, but not all Marvel comics, if you get what I mean. However, if you do say Superman, you get the movies and any comic and video game. Same if you choose Ghost. Well, Jesus Christ. Who do you choose and what? This is a fucking weird ass question, Keith, aka Cincy Broiler. Boiler. Yeah. What a weird fucking question. I guess I would probably say I want to say Superman, but a lot of Superman comics suck, and when are we getting another good video game? So then I'm thinking Batman or Spider-Man, because there's a lot of great comics from them. There's a lot of great movies from them. There will be great comics and movies from them going forward, and there are great games, and there should be great games. So I'll say Batman so I get to look at Superman sometimes. Mario Not Bros says, most exciting thing of Kinda Funny Year 3. Love you. I love you too. The most exciting thing of Kinda Funny Year 3, which has just begun? So far, Colin was right. It's been super successful. Up next, the show Tim and I are working on, but we haven't announced. Amy Gilroy says, what are you most looking forward to doing in Australia with Tim? And she puts a smiley there. The Kojima interview. We're not going to vacation. We're going there to do some work and get out. So I have a 2-hour long interview with Hideo Kojima, just me and him and a translator. One-on-one though. That's fucking awesome and crazy. And I never would have imagined that in my life in front of a giant live audience at RTX Sydney. So looking forward to that. Hope you all see it. Christopher Leone says, hey Greg, how has it been for you doing a long distance relationship? Jen's in Montreal. I'm here in San Francisco. It's been fine. I mean, it sucks. I hate it. I want it to be over with. Not the relationship, just a long distance. But we're also spoiled in the fact that since she's in the video game industry, she's been here a lot. I've been up there a lot. We go to the same events like your PAXs or stuff like that. So the first 6 months, right, or whatever, since July have been pretty easy on us. And now going forward, we have to be a little bit more creative. But so far, so good. And we just fucking love each other too much. Anthony Camillo says, are we going to see cool Greg on Kind of Funny content in 2017? Oh, but your ass. You bet your ass you're going to see Tim's brother Greg. Mario Heraldez says, hi Greg. Any plan in the future for another 24-hour live stream? No, not at this point. They fucking kill us and ruin us and destroy the week, and the content sucks by the end of it. We decided to. So that's why, like, Extra Life this year, we did, like, switch offs and all this stuff, because, like, do you really want to see us ready to cry at the end, like, when we have nothing in us? Except poop. Chris Johan says, hey Greg, I believe that I have heard you say in previous shows that you are a Tech 9 fan. If this is true, I would like to know if you have heard the new record, and if you have, what are your thoughts? If not, what are some of your favorite tracks on previous records? Thanks. Love Tech 9, love Strange Music. Murs, Ritz, come on, man. I don't think I've heard the new album. He said, I don't, because that last album I bought from Tech 9 was that one where he did all the collaborations with people. And then the weird thing about Tech 9 is that I had gotten his music through Damon. Damon made me a Tech 9 CD that I burned and listened to. So I don't know any of, they're all like track 1, track 2, track 3. Kill. It's the killer in the arena. And if you need me, I'm gonna be yeah. Tech 9's awesome. Kill. I love Tech 9. I've seen him live 3 times, I think. Good guy. Alexander Gates, if you could change one thing about each of the Kind of Funny members, what would you change? I refuse to answer that kind of question. I'm not going to sit here and pick apart my coworkers, but I thank you for your question. Nerd Cave. Hey, Greg, I hope things are going great. Love everything you guys are doing. My friends and I make podcast videos and YouTube videos, and have been doing it for almost 4 years now. I'm reaching out to brands and developers, trying to build relationships with them. How do you go about that? I don't want to seem like a freeloader just wanting codes. I want to cultivate meaningful relationships with these people and the companies. You and Colin have such a good rapport from all these years of doing this, and any advice would be amazing. You gotta jump and start doing it, Nerd Cave. When I was working at the Tribune and they gave me that video game column, I started going to Capcom and EA and all these different places' websites. Then they have the press tab, and then you get press addresses off of that, and you email those people and you explain what you want to do. Don't do a form letter, hit them up. Like for me, it was like, hey EA, I'm interested in NCAA football. I'm in a college town. This is the kind of profile I want to write, let alone that I'm a huge fan. And they sent the game. That was the first game I ever got. And then Capcom sent me Dead Rising. You know what I mean? Like, if you can sit there and spin what you're going to do and why you want to do it, it'll help. Spin sounds dirty, but you know what I mean. Brock Maple says, since you work with a bunch of your friends, how do you balance having to be friends with them and having to be their boss? Also, when is Kevin and Greg Eat a Pizza coming back? So kind of talked about this a second ago. We're bad at balancing it. We don't do it well. Having to be their boss isn't really a thing. Kevin's the only employee, you know what I mean, in terms of like full-times who are in the thing or whatever, and that who we had a pre-existing relationship with. And so that gets murky and stuff. But it does get weird when it's like, all right, you fucked up this part, but you did all this. And I'm not talking about Kevin. I'm talking about all of us. Somebody's looking at me. All right, Greg, you fucked up the end of Colin and Greg Live, but you did all this other stuff. It sucks. How do we balance being friends with them? Honestly, we don't hang out that much. Sad truth of the fact of the matter is, but it's also kind of how it was at IGN, where I used to go to IGN and work with my best friends, and then I'd go home and see my girlfriend or go out to a movie or do whatever. It's the same thing here where it's like, cool, we've been together nonstop for 8 hours in the same room or whatever, or we're going to an event or we're doing this thing. And like, I'd love to hang out with Tim more, but we hang out so much that when work's done, he's going to go see Gia. You know what I mean? Like, we're all going to break off and go see, Nick's going to hang out with his wife. Kevin's going to hang out with Paula. Kevin and I have started hanging out more, but I think that's the matter, just because I know the least about him, right? Like, I've been with Nick, Tim, and Colin forever. Kevin and I are like still discovering each other's bodies. Sean Valoric says, I just saw a possible Flash Supergirl crossover musical episode. I'd like to hear your thoughts. Not possible. That's happened. That got announced a long time ago, and I can't fucking wait. What? It's the music It's not the Pied Piper. It's the music minstrel. Who's coming through as a villain? Hold on. I was just reading about this yesterday. Supergirl, Flash, musical. I'm going to do that so there's not dead air. Yeah. This is just the original press release. This isn't giving me anything. I don't fucking remember. I'm tired. Help me out. Google it yourself. Figure it out. I want to say Music Meister, but damn it. No, now I gotta know. Flash, Supergirl, musical, villain. Here we go. Oh, this got released this week. I'm not as stupid as I felt. Music Meister. Not a villain I'm super well versed in, tell you the truth though. So I'm excited. I love Flash. I love the Supergirl crossovers. Some of the Supergirl episodes are great. Some are suck. RJ Davis. Hello, Greg. Since you have traveled to Canada more often because of your girlfriend, what are your thoughts of your time there? The food, the people, the beer. What has been your favorite experience so far? I love Montreal. It took a while to grow on me, I think, because we were going at weird times. If you go and look at the episode about Quebec being the capital of Team Fat from the Game Over Greggy show, I talk about the food there. Food's fucking phenomenal everywhere. I love that it feels like San Francisco without, I don't want to say pretension. It feels like San Francisco in the fact that every place is local and it's awesome. But like in San Francisco, like that means that like, all right, cool, we're gonna go to Nopa. So we have to make a reservation or wait or do whatever. Like here, it's easier to walk into places. But then there's also places like Joe Beef. So I guess it's not fair. Food's great. The cocktails are great. The scene's awesome. And I just love hanging out up there. I haven't drank enough beer though. That's one thing I noticed, but it's because Jen and I like cocktails so much. We got for cocktails. Nicole Humphrey gave a message here and says, "Hi, Greg. You are one of the most confident nerds I know. Have you always been so confident? If not, how did you become the paragon of excellence that you are today? I was not always this confident, Nicole. And what I always talk about is fake it till you make it. It sounds stupid, but eventually I just had to embrace that. All right, cool. I'm fat and I'm gonna take off my shirt and I don't like my teeth and I stutter and stammer and do all this different stuff. I fuck up words. I can't pronounce things. You just gotta grin and bear it and go through it. And then you do realize really quickly how little all that fucking shit means. I know, and it's not, I wish there was an easier answer. I wish there was a way for me to flip a switch and make it work for you. But the long and short of it is, who the fuck cares? Do I really care if I fuck something up and people out there think I'm stupid? No. Because guess what? They're going to move on to their next thing tomorrow and not worry about it too. And what you're left with are great people like you who love what we do and love each other and love me and do all these different things. And I love you back. That's how it works. You just got to keep going. Thomas Lynch said, if you could guarantee one thing to happen in 2017, what would it be? Kind of Funny Live 3. Jared Adams says, all right, Greg, it's time to come clean. You look terrific. What kind of workout are you doing? And is it the beginning of Team Fit? We talked a bit about this in the Jose Sanchez Part 4 episode where I think we did it. Team Fit or Staying Fit or something like that, where he lost all the weight. And this is Game Over Greggy show topic, of course. For me, honestly, I mean, I'm not, what kind of workout am I doing? I'm riding my bike to work. We talked about that where I was going to, when Jen and I went to Chicago, we rode bikes and I was like, fuck, I forgot how much I love riding bikes. So when I came back, I bought a bike to ride to work because it's a 30-minute bike ride here. And so, yeah, it's a workout. Yeah, I'm definitely losing weight because of it. It's not the goal. The goal is, the goal is to get to work and not spend all my money on Uber. The goal is to have fun getting to work. I think a benefit of it is like, yeah, I look better. I'm doing something for my body so I don't die. That is the other thing too. You know what I mean? Like I'm 33 now, 34 in April. Like you got to start worrying about it at some point and all this dumb shit. So like, it's similar, I think, to, you don't remember, maybe you do. We've talked about yogurt and how it came up it was coming up on my rankings of top foods, right? And how at IGN one day, it was that thing where I was just like, I'm eating a breakfast burrito or a bagel every day. And I'm like, I'm not looking to lose 40 pounds, but that can't be healthy. And so it was like here's the thing, what I go with, right? I do yogurt parfaits every morning. I'm, yogurt, granola, some fruit in the back. And I did that at IGN too. Because I like how that tastes. I like how that goes. But the big thing was that I wasn't getting the enjoyment out of the burrito or the bagel every day. And so when that happens, why am I then eating something that's terrible for me and not making me feel good, right? Like last night you saw that pizza. You didn't see it because this isn't live. I'm talking to you like I would on the Twitch, so there you go. But if you go on that cooking with Greggy thing, right? Like I fucking made a homemade pizza last night and crushed it. So fucking good. Jesus Christ, right? But that's the thing. It was so good. I loved it so much. Why now? And now I love yogurt, so that's great. But like now for lunches, right? Like a good example is I went to brunch the other day with Jen on Sunday, and I looked at this brunch menu, and none of the stuff looked good. And it was like, oh, they got pancakes and they got this and whatever. And then they had a spinach feta salad where I could add chicken. And this is, of course, Colin's original when we were joking around about it all the time years ago. Team fat argument is that I eat salads and that's not team fat. I'm like, well, you work on an elliptical, that's not team fat. But my whole argument when I set up team fat, right, was it's eating whatever the fuck you want to. And so it's like, that sounded good. That sounds better than all these other things that I don't want. Like, you know what I mean? I shouldn't feel weird about that. So I mix in a salad. I like today for lunch, I told you I had fried chicken. It was fucking awesome. And then I had salad with it because I keep salad stuff here because it's an easy fix for a meal when it is. However, when Kevin's like, let's get beeps, I'm like, fuck, let's get beeps. Or when it's like, I need a pizza or we're going to Wild Wings, great. But when they're like, we want to go to Dos Charles or we want to go to Jalapeno, the burrito spot, I'm like, those places aren't that great. Mexican food is good, but it's rarely amazing, right? So I'm like, I'll just eat whatever the shit I have in the fridge or whatever. So again, come clean. I've never lied about it. I've always said I eat salads, and I'm riding the bike. You know that too. Maybe this is your first time hearing about the bike if you weren't paying attention to Colin and Greg Live when it was Colin and Greg Live. But I don't know. It's definitely, here's where I think there's a line in the sand. Where Jen was telling me about how great the Fitbit app was on her phone, right? And she showed it to me. She's like, you should download it. You know what I mean? You ride your bike, you'd be crushing these numbers. And I'm like, no. Because for me, that's when it becomes a thing. And this isn't a thing for me. It's just that I enjoy riding my bike. I enjoy a salad. I enjoy yogurt. So I enjoy beeps and I enjoy my pizza and I enjoy my wings. It's like, I don't want this to become, I don't want to do the Kevin thing where I'm counting calories or doing this other shit. I'm just going to eat what I want to eat, whatever it is, where it is, and ride the bike when I want to ride the bike. And it's been raining lately, which has sucked. It's a long rambling thing. The long and short of it is I'm not working out. I ride my bike and sometimes I eat a salad here and there. 2 questions left. Clayton Spiegel says, is there a possibility we might get a hashtag Cooking with Greggy show? It could be a bi-weekly show or once a month where you pick your favorite meals and show us how you do it. I follow you on Instagram and some of those dishes you post look great. Only some of them, Clayton? No, I would love to do a Cooking with Greggy show. The problem is, as I keep saying, it's hard. We don't have an oven here. If we had an oven here, there'd be a better shot at it. Without that, then it's like, all right, cool. Are we going to drag all this shit back to the house? Like we just got out of the house. I've thought about maybe Twitch streaming, but even then, that's one of those things that for me cooking is, and I guess this is back to the question too from Jaron, right? What's happening? I cook for myself way more and I make horrible food sometimes for me, but lots of times even something you cook at home that's bad for you is better than something you'd get at McDonald's or a bar, right? I guess that's a good point too in terms of like losing weight. Anyways, but it's therapeutic for me and it is my time to put on music and chill out and it's cathartic and I'm not performing. And not that I don't like performing. Like I said, I get out of bed to do this for you guys. But at some point, there needs to be a cutoff, I think, for me. And maybe that's why it's harder to get motivated to do that show. And the final question of the inaugural Ask Kinda Funny Anything comes from Grant Adkins. He says, hi, Greg. Can you recommend some great podcasts to check out? I sure can. I love Death, Sex, and Money. It's a great podcast and a sale. It's stories revolving around death, sex, and money. A lot of great interviews in there. The Jane Fonda episode I thought was really fucking great. Big fan of that. I love This American Life. I love the Moth podcast. The Moth podcast is true stories told in front of a live audience. I got into Black Tapes, the Black Tapes podcast a while back. It's like a supernatural fictional podcast. It's good. Sometimes the production quality is questionable, and I fell out of it because usually what happens is I'm playing a game like Skyrim, and I'll mute Skyrim and just put on podcast and go, or like Lego. I'm doing Lego Marvel Superheroes right on the Platinum run. While I do that, I'm doing that as well. But those are great. This is going to sound shilly. I just started listening to Always Open, which is a Rooster Teeth podcast. It's Barb Dunkelman's podcast. I like that a lot. It's similar to a more concise Super Knockin' Boots podcast or a more drawn out love and sex stuff. But it's all from the female perspective for the most part in terms of embarrassing stories from them, sexual things like that, advice kind of crap like that. So those are all good. Well, ladies and gentlemen, I enjoyed Ask Kinda Funny Anything. Did you? Let me know in the comments or on Twitter or just yell it out your window if you see me. Remember, what happens is the first of the month, we put up a new post on patreon.com/kindafunny or Kinda Funny Games. And tell you who you're going to get to talk to that month. Then you leave all your comments there. And then at some point in the month, like right now, for me, you come through, you answer all those things, then we put it up the final Saturday of the month, and then the process begins again. Remember, it's for the $15 and above level. We thank you for your support there. If you think $15 is pretty steep to get a question read, remember, of course, that includes the bonus episode of the podcast early. It includes every episode of the podcast early as an MP3. It includes every episode of the podcast early as a video. It enters you automatically then for the raffles and giveaways of games each day on Twitch. There's a million things. It's not just $15 for the fucking question. It's $15 to support us and get a whole bunch of other cool shit too. So, I hope you enjoyed it. And until next time, know, it's been my pleasure to serve you.